Okay, then we are on. I still see some that there are people joining, so we will wait a bit before we actually start. But welcome all so far. Okay, so it's couple of minutes past. We have a lot of participants, so we will start the show. Thanks all for joining. And welcome to the second edition of the Nordic TV week, hosted by us here at Norwegian Media. So Nordic TV week, for those of you who have not participated before, it's a series of webinars where we have invited broadcasters, distributors, operators from the Nordics to tell about their TV services and what they have achieved. We have some showcases from the industry, basically here in the Nordics. This year we have presenters from Telenor, from Danmarks Radio, DR, SVT, TV2 Denmark, Alenta, Nordics, ITV, and also Norwegian Media. Myself, I'm Espen Erikstad. My day job is at Norwegian Media, where I'm running our operations and product development. And I will be the host of these events. So the agenda today, you can see behind me. We have Geir Inge Stein from Telenor that will take us through their journey that they've been through in the last couple of years of modernization of their TV platform. We have Troels from Danmarks Radio. He will tell us what they have been cooking while in isolation down in Denmark for the last year. And last but not least, we have Olof from SVT that will tell us about their homegrown transcoding VOD platform, Encore. A few practicalities. This is a webinar in Zoom, meaning that it's only the panelists that are allowed to talk and to have their video on. But we encourage you all to ask questions. So use the Q&A option here in Zoom in the bar below you. So you ask question there. I will try to ask the questions to the presenter after each presentation. If we're not able to go through all the questions, we will try to answer them in writing. Yeah, I think that's it for the introduction. So we will start now with Telenor. I have a couple of slides here. So Telenor, I'm sure you all know about Telenor, a major telco company, international based headquarters here in Norway. Today we're going to talk about TV, which is their pay TV service here in Nordics, and that is obviously owned and operated by the Telenor Group. TV, classic pay TV service. They have set-top boxes for cable and IPTV, but in addition to that, they are present on most popular OTT devices as well. So they have a streaming proposition, and they have, in addition to all kind of linear TV channels in the Norwegian market, they have a lot of movies, series, catch-ups, and of course sports content. From Telenor today, we have Geir Inge Fevang. So Geir Inge, he has a long experience from telecom. First, he had a long career in Accenture before he joined the other side and took on the position as CIO of Canal Digital in 2010. And since 2017, he's been running the product development for TV. Stein Lindman-Johannesen. Stein, he holds a Master of Arts of St. Andrews in Scotland. Also have a long career in media with experience from Schibsted, MTG, now Nent, and working now in Telenor, where he is head of content and recommendations. So with that, I will hand over the word to Geir Inge and Stein.
Thank you. I'll see if I can share my screen with you. Yeah, that seemed to work. Okay, hello everybody. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to our quick presentation of the modernization journey we've been through in Telenor and within the TV domain. I'm Stein, and I'll share the stage with Geir Inge, as Espen mentioned. First of all, and very high level, Telenor Norway is far more than TV actually. At our core lies connection, and mobile and broadband connections are the key services that are provided to Norwegian consumers and businesses. On the back of the fixed line connections, we deliver our TV service, which we call TV, as Espen mentioned. Telenor in Norway is the largest TV distributor with close to 600,000 subscribers, and that means about 27% of the total TV distribution market. TV in Telenor today is a combination of Canal Digital cable TV and the previous IPTV coming out of the early fiber rollout efforts in Telenor. And everything we do now in TV is consolidated into the go-to-market offering, which is TV. And we deliver this both over fiber and coax. Canal Digital satellite has been merged into Alente and is not a part of Telenor's TV offering anymore. So with that, I'll hand it over to Geir Inge for a few minutes.
Thank you, Stein. So in 2013, what was then Canal Digital Cable TV, we first launched our advanced TV platform services like Startover, Catch-up, and TV Archives, and then based on a platform from Eriksson. And in parallel with this, our sister company at the time, Canal Digital Satellite, delivered services to our apps based on their Extreme platform. And as Stein mentioned, on top of that, Telenor made their own TV solution based on Smart Vision as part of their fiber rollout. So as the requirements and customer expectations to our solution grew, all these platforms were developed and required increasingly investment money and effort. And since the platforms served different TV clients, it was very difficult to get a seamless experience across all the different screens. On top of that, the architecture of our main platform from Eriksson was based on TV broadcast standards and was becoming technologically outdated. We had thick clients on set-top boxes that was difficult to develop on and leading to long time to market and reduced customer satisfaction. So in 2017, Canal Digital Cable TV had been merged into Telenor, and we realized that we had to do a major architectural overhaul and product modernization to get control over costs, development speed, and customer satisfaction. So we then initiated a number of projects to modernize the entire TV value chain. We decided, as the first cable TV operator in Norway and one of the earliest in Europe, to decommission analog TV. Then we decided to decommission our Smart Vision platform, which meant moving the entire original Telenor customer base over to the Eriksson value chain, including replacing the entire Thomson set-top box population. And we also decided to decommission or connect with fiber all third-party networks that we delivered via satellite, so that we could decommission more than 400 local headends and give all these customers access to the advanced TV services. When we've done all this, we started a very large project to replace the entire user experience with a new set-top box, with a thin browser-based client and a new service delivery platform in backend, and new OTT clients for iOS, Android, Apple TV, Chromecast, and web. And to avoid having to replace about 400,000 set-top boxes in the market, we also decided to change software solution on our existing main set-top box so that we could give many more customers access to the newest user experience on this existing set-top box. And this project took more or less all our development capacity for about 2 to 3 years, and it turned out to be more complex and take longer time than expected, but we finally launched the solution and migrated all customers before the summer last year. And the final step of the modernization was to phase out the Ericsson platform that we had and replace all content playout from this platform over to OTT-based playout from our CDN. And that was finalized before Christmas last year. So where are we now? We have a modern set-top box supporting the newest standards like 4K. We have a common backend serving all clients, which makes sure that you get the same user experience across all devices. We have a modern platform and OTT-based playout. We have reduced the platform cost by tens of millions of Norwegian kroner in yearly cost. And we have only one platform to develop on going forward. This now makes it possible to have significantly more releases and faster time to market. So, is everything just sunshine story and everything perfect? Well, I would say that we also made some tough learnings along the way. We experienced that replacing an end-to-end TV platform is a huge project. There's a lot of functionality that needs to be in place before we can switch the old platform and go to the new one. So we had to make some tough choices, and at some point we decided to launch the new service, although we still knew that there was several improvements that had to be done. Also, as part of the decommissioning of the old Ericsson platform, we turned off the advanced services for our oldest set-top boxes, which also affected some customers negatively. So we are very experienced now that change is difficult. We did, of course, expect that some of our customers would not like the change. There are always some people that don't like change and some people that likes changes. But we got some more negative feedback than we expected. And although the majority of the customers preferred the new user experience, we had a minority that did not like it and made a lot of complaints. And also, as always, when introducing new major platforms like this, we had some issues, technical issues in the beginning with the new solution before we could stabilize everything.
Right. So as Geir Inge mentioned, we knew that this transition would be demanding, both for ourselves and our customers. We did significant changes to the user interface for our customers. And as you can see from the graph on the left-hand side of the slide, a lot of customers were dissatisfied, which we've really faced in Q3 last year. But since the launch of our new experience, we are work focused to stabilize operations and remove bugs and continue to improve. And we think this effort pays off in terms of customer satisfaction now. We see that the trend is upward again, and it's moving back into the levels that we saw before the transition. So in addition to overall satisfaction being back in the levels that we would like to see it, what else have we achieved? I'd like to mention a few things. Geir Inge mentioned the significant cost reduction we have seen. In addition to that, we have sped up the TV development cycles and release new versions more frequently now. We're actually releasing a new version these days, and I'll get back to that in a couple of minutes or in a minute. We also see a very satisfying growth in the use of non-linear content. And this last point is really important to us because we know that the customers that use the more advanced services are more loyal and more likely to stay longer in Telenor than the linear-only customers. So finally, what you see on the screen now is our latest user interface. This has already been delivered to our newest generation set-top boxes, the TV Box 2, and it's being deployed to our early generation TV Box 1 as we speak. We made a big step last year when we transitioned to the new user experience, but we are already improving on it, and we do this in close collaboration with our users. Our goal is to try to blend and balance the linear experience with the VOD content on platform and integration with streaming services. And we think that the new TV platform provides us with the foundation to take the TV experience into the future. Then finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you both. Thanks for that. That's interesting to hear. We have a few questions here. First one up here, TV, would you support smart TV application for smart TVs, or are you doing it already?
Currently, we don't. As we made a major change going over to the new apps for iOS, Android, Apple TV, and web last year, our focus has been to make sure that those clients work well before we start adding on new clients. But of course, this is something we will consider going forward.
Okay, we have a lot of questions here. I think we can do one more before moving on. One of the trends in VOD service is strong push towards high quality audio and video with 4K HDR video technology, so it's Dolby Vision, IMAX enhanced, coupled with immersive audio formats pushing the boundaries. How do Telenor see the future of entertainment in the home, and how important is AV quality when it comes to keeping customer engaged?
Oh, big question. I can give my guess, and Stein can fill in. I think right now we see that there's the customers are more concerned about other things than 4K. Of course, having a good picture quality is important, but right now we see it's not that much feedback about this currently. But of course, quality is always going up over time, and we do support 4K HDR in the set-top box, and we'll support that in clients, all clients going forward, of course.
Okay, and I guess I can follow up with one question related to that. How do you see as the biggest challenges in relation to a good customer experience in the future? Is it content, recommendations, quality, or other things?
Do you want to take a guess on that, Stein?
Yeah, I think it's a short and sweet answer. I think it's a combination of all those things. I personally think that the recommendation part is where TV distributors can make a difference, actually, because we aggregate content and we're able to try to dig out the gold from everything in it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Unfortunately, that was all we had time for. It's good. There's still a lot of questions open there. Geir Inge and Stein, if you can go in and try to answer them, that's appreciated. We will now move on in the program. Next one up is Troels from Danmarks Radio. I will share my screen. DR, or Dansk Radio, they are the public broadcaster in Denmark, being around since 1925, actually. So they're definitely like an institution here in the Nordics, both in terms of content producer, a news TV station, but also, as we will learn more about now, as a direct-to-consumer service provider. So they have their OTT service offering called DRTV, and that is a free service that's available, as you can see, on most popular devices, as well as HBB TV. They provide their full content catalog together with all their linear channels, and as a public service provider, this is as a free service. We have Troels Hauch Tornmark from DR with us today. So before joining DR as the product manager for DRTV, Troels had a long career in product management working in companies such as Nokia, TV2 Denmark, as well as doing some startup gigs. Troels is a father of 3 girls and is a big music fan. And when he is not building successful TV services, he's playing the guitar. So with that, I will give the word over to Troels.
Hello. Let me try. Thanks for the intro, Espen. I'll try to share. Just a second. There we go. You should be seeing this. Good. Well, I want to tell you a bit about a strange year for all. I guess you all have your own stories also from a professional level, and I think that will be the focus here, mixed with some personal reflections. This is also focused on what it has meant for the development priorities for DRTV. As Espen was saying, we were the national broadcaster in Denmark, and we do have both classic linear channels with the streaming service and also, of course, VOD content. And that VOD content goes beyond the normal series and movies and sports content. Yeah. And for 2020, this has been really being home for so many days and evenings, basically wondering what's happening in the world and fearing basically for the new disease and in general just waiting quite a lot, getting to see friends and family and going to restaurants. That has basically lifted the streaming services to the only window to the world. Myself, I've been watching travel shows because I love to travel, also cooking shows and a bit of sci-fi to escape the reality. And also a big part of 2020 was this need to be live. We see content producers on YouTube and Twitch. Musicians actually needed to be in contact with their fans and audience while a chat was running at the bottom of the screen. We see in general that we're going into 2020 with a record high coverage and evaluation. In late 2019, we relaunched DRTV as a full-blown streaming service, going from catch-up to actually being a streaming service in its own right. And you can see that in the numbers here from the Wilkie research that we had quite a, this is a survey that's asking what kind of streaming services do you have and use, and then we are hitting the top spot. Of course, we are free. We are under, we do not have any logins, so this is perhaps natural that there's no barriers to join and use our services. But in December 2020, we actually surpassed this coverage number of weekly coverage number of Netflix, and continuing into 2021, we're actually seeing really good numbers. Of course, COVID has an effect, but and we'll see how this goes into 2021. Of course, we saw record high viewer numbers to news conferences because when the Prime Minister locked down the country in 2020, from a DRTV perspective, we refocused, or at least focused really much in on the stability and being able to hit the peaks when the Prime Minister and other government bodies were informing the nation about the latest development in the pandemic and the restrictions we were under. This again stressed the focus we already had on live, and actually we had a theme. We have a theme we call Superior Live. We need to be superior in live streaming. And again, as you can see the numbers here, we had a huge peak, and we were able to, at least most of the times, actually being able to handle this huge spike in load when we had news conferences. We also saw a lot of new formats and style, because as the TV production also needed to change, because we had to keep the social distancing also in production. we couldn't have large crowds. We couldn't actually have a large studio audience. That meant that this view you see is actually a concert where we kept the social distancing in the programming, and we also saw a need to deliver during the day some homeschooling opportunities for the kids we had to have at home. So we used our event channel to actually live stream this from the studio from our biggest children's brand, Ramachan. And then in the late 2019, we had the focus of the big sports summer that was coming to Europe and especially Denmark, because we had Euro 2020 on Danish turf. We also had the rights. We also have the shared rights for the Olympics, and that meant that lots of live and were preparing for delivering that experience, and we wanted to be able to give the Danes that were planning on travel abroad into the EU the ability to watch the Danish games from Spain and wherever you were in Europe. So we decided to go with the EU portability regulation. That's basically allowing any user of a streaming services to take their streaming service with them to on vacation or on work in Europe. But of course, as you know, we were all basically forced to stay at home. The sports summer was cancelled. There was a lot of programming planned that we needed to as a broadcaster to reinvent ourselves. And we saw a lot of creativity on that. But on the DRTV side, we already had this activity started. So the question was really, should we move from progress to blocked? But this involved pretty every team on DRTV. So we decided to continue this and basically keep it sort of a silent launch, because going out and saying, hey, you can take DRTV with you on your travels was basically a very bad idea when we were under lockdown. But we also decided that this was too risky to basically stop. Also because during lockdown, everybody was at home. So just starting a new project and was simply too high a cost, both on the development side, but also on the team to start a new thing. So a brief view into this. We decided, as we cannot use credit card information, a lot of the commercial services can use credit card information to validate that you live in the country where you have purchased this the service. We don't have that same opportunity. So we used the so-called NemID, which is a national identification system that all people in Denmark basically trust. This is where you use your bank, and you connect to your bank, you connect to health services, etc. So if you log in for DRTV, you validate that you are of Danish residents. You are actually allowed to take our programming, both live and VOD, with you on vacation. But that was the big miss, because we didn't launch it. We did launch it, but we did a silent launch, as I mentioned. But then into the positive part. As I mentioned, we did some new formats. This is one of the biggest successes of 2020. The guy in the left corner with the piano started having morning shows where he urged people to sing together while keeping the social distancing. This inspired us to see, could we do anything about this on our DRTV side? And then we were approached by two guys starting on the final thesis, Yannick and Lucas. They were doing a co-watching plugin for DRTV that would allow you to have a video chat with your friend in another part of the country while you were watching a DRTV show. I think the idea was started with Yannick and Lucas watching The Lion's Den, the programming together normally. but they couldn't do that during the pandemic. So they built this tool, which was basically a virtual couch and a virtual remote control that you can watch this together. And then we got this pitched and we saw that it actually worked. And we decided to take this in as an experimental feature and began integrating this late 2020 into the DRTV platform. And here you can see a bit of the onboarding of the current implementation. So you basically get a prompt that you can see DRTV together with your friends and family. Then you select an avatar and select a chat name, and then you get onboarded into the features. On the right side of the player screen, this is a browser only because of the keyboard support. You will see the chat window. We have a couple of other pictures here. This is one of the successes we have seen for Watch Together, is that Alone in the Wild, where there could be a lot of gossip about who's winning, who's whining in the wild, could happen in the Watch Together feature. There you can see the chat window and the use of course, emojis to tell about what you feel about the programming. The thing is, there's also that you have the synchronization of the stream. So when you press pause or play or skip forward, you would do that for the other guys in the same room. And this is sort of, Yannick and Lucas decided to actually make a company of this. So in the beginning it was called Video Friends or Videovenner in Danish, and then now the company is called Fringe. And we are still looking into some of the advanced features of this. We did a collab experimental feature on DRTV and see how people are accepting this. What we are seeing is actually that we're seeing a lot of young people using this feature, using the chat functionality, watching some of the Ultra programming. Ultra is the youth brand of DRTV. But also these major events, live events that people come together to discuss. That was it from me. If you want to connect, this is me on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. And if you have any question, please put it in the Q&A.
Thanks a lot, Troels. Very interesting to hear, and very cool to see that a public broadcasters like you can come up with such an innovative and cool feature in a short time. Have a few questions here. So first, it's regarding the portability requirements. Is that an actual requirement for you as a public broadcaster, or did you do it because of providing good service to your customer?
Yeah, I think we had it on the radar for quite some time before we decided to go forward. I think we're not obliged to do this. I think it's when the pay services you need to answer to the EU regulation as far as I understand it. But for us, it was a part of that. We see a lot of Danes spending a lot of time abroad, and especially in this case where we had Danish football on home turf. We really wanted it to be something that you can take with you to Marbella or wherever you want to spend your holiday.
Okay, thank you. We can have one question more. I have a question here. How did you handle the linear peaks of streams with high quality in Denmark? And with the corresponding cost of that, did you implement any solution like multicast or broadcast for the news and educational programs?
I'm afraid that's a bit out of my my knowledge. That you should have talked to the head of streaming development instead of me. But I know that we did discuss with our supplier on in these instances and how we should handle that both in the instance but also in the future.
Okay, and just a last question here. Do you forecast the co-watching radio platform will still gain momentum when we go back to normality again?
It's always dangerous to forecast, but I think as part of this, every streaming services or every digital services will have an ambition to reach a younger audience. And I think some of the stuff we've seen with Twitch and YouTube and the live use is definitely something that we need to consider with the co-watching, because it's if not hygiene, but that is basically part of the experience of watching a YouTube or Twitch stream, that you can contribute directly to the programming, but also just have this discussion with your friends. So definitely something we are looking, and I think also as an experimental feature, this was also put in to actually discover, does it work for DRTV?
Okay, thank you so much, Troels, for this. There's still a few questions there, so if you can jump into the Q&A and answer, that's great. We will move on now to the last session on the program. We have Olof from SVT. So SVT is the public broadcast. It's the second public broadcaster we have for the day. They are the public broadcaster in Sweden, been around since 1956, and today we will get to know more about what's happening behind the scenes of their immensely popular OTT service offering, SVT Play. So SVT Play is their equivalent of DRTV, so it's their free OTT offering, covering a wide range of OTT-enabled devices, and also in addition to some of the set-top boxes from the distributors in Sweden. They offer as well the full lineup of content, from movies, series, catch-up, a lot of sports content, and all their linear channels, and that is a free service as well. So Olof is a passionate video engineer, and that has spent the last 3 years of his career in SVT. He's a specialist in video transcoding and video compression. Olof, he was actually supposed to be presenting this at our previous show just before Christmas, but he then became a father for the first time, actually on the day, I think, of the event. So we're super excited and happy that he decided to join us this time, and he is here today. And I will now hand over to him and hear what he has to tell us about their transcoding platform.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Espen. I'm very, very excited to be here as well, especially considering, well, that I couldn't be here last time around for good reasons, obviously, but I'm very happy that I am able to be here today. All right, let's see. Okay, so I am, as I said, I'm very excited to be here today to talk about Encore, which is our in-house homebrew transcoder that we've been building for roughly 2.5 years. And I'm going to tell you how it's helping us to improve the visual quality of our VOD service, one transcode at a time. Now, today's presentation is divided into 3 steps, or 3 parts. I'm going to start with a bit of a background to just tell you where we came from and why this has been such an interesting journey for us. I'm going to talk a bit about the challenges we face and how we navigate the OTT landscape. And then finally, I'm going to describe Encore on a conceptual level and describe why, how we use it in our pipeline. Now, this is a pretty long slide, long presentation with lots of slides, and I'm going to go through them quite quickly. So we'll buckle up and enjoy the ride. So we started in 2013 when SVT acquired an on-prem proprietary transcoding solution from a commercial vendor. That was 10 servers that were GPU based. They were very fast and the quality was quite good. We transcoded all of our VOD content using this service. However, 5 years later in 2018, this product had reached end of life and the quality had become lackluster because everything was transcoded using the same profile. All of our content was suffering from that defect. And since it was a black box, a proprietary solution, there was no active development either. And this meant that we were at an impasse where we had a limited input space. We had an almost impossible situation when it came to customization, and we had a limited output space. So we were left with lackluster quality transcodes at low resolution with a high bitrate.
Excuse me, Olav, your slide does not seem to change.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There we go. Okay, so so basically we had an old solution. It didn't work well. So in 2018, we decided to go about and create our own solution. So during one of the biannual tech sprints that we have, we banded together a group of developers and tried to see if we could build something using FFmpeg. And that worked flawlessly. Even though it was a proof of concept, it proved that we could blow that old proprietary solution out of the water completely. But before I describe how it works today and what we've developed since then, let me just set the table with the challenges. So as anyone working with transcoding for OTT will tell you, there are 3 desired properties that you want to achieve when transcoding. It's to retain visual quality, to have a better viewing experience, to achieve high compression, to save on distribution costs, and then to have low complexity to make the transcode quick and ease on the decode. At SVT, we've chosen to have high quality and high compression because you can only ever have 2 of these. To be fair, however, there is one 4th dimension, which is compatibility. Most commercial services, they can choose if a certain family of devices is very hard to transcode for, or it's hard to make them work, you can actually skip them if they're not economically feasible. But a public service broadcaster has to try to be available on as many platforms as we can, which is something we've been quite successful with, thanks to Encore. Now, there is one more part that I like to call the public service dilemma, which we also have to contend with, and that is the fact that as the amount of viewers increase, so does our distribution costs. And as our viewers become more accustomed to better visual quality, we have to keep up to stay relevant. Now, we have a fixed budget every year, which means that in order to improve, we have to accomplish more each year with the same amount of funds. So just to summarize what sort of goal we're trying to reach here, we want to deliver high quality video without using too much bandwidth and data, where too much depends on the context, and the device compatibility is paramount. So how do we achieve this? Well, using Encore, of course. So what is Encore? Well, at a glance, Encore is really a mixture of in-house software that we build ourselves and open source libraries that you would know. I've already sort of mentioned that Encore is based off FFmpeg, but we also use other open source libraries that you would know, such as X264 and X265 for encoding, and a plethora of other things to handle scaling, concurrency, and so on. If we take an overview of the workflow for a transcoding job, it is impossible to go through everything in detail, but you can conceptually divide this into 5 phases or 5 steps. And it all starts with a job. An Encore job is an aggregate of information that concludes with a media file, a priority so that the job can be prioritized towards other jobs, a transcoding profile, and a special instruction, which might be optional. Once the job is created, it's moved over to the queue phase, or the queue step, where scaling, concurrency, and priority is handled. And once the job is ready to be transcoded, once it's reached the top of the queue, it's moved over to the analysis and command step, where the file is analyzed, where we pass the instructions, and where we create the FFmpeg command. That command is then sent to an Encore instance where one of the thread pools starts transcoding. We receive progress, we can pull it from some information, and once it's done, we get a callback. Now that callback and the output files sends us over to step 5, where we can deliver the files to a predefined location. This is completely file-based, and it works with one input, and you can have several outputs. Now, I would like to just step into two of the parts here that sort of sets Encore apart. The first is step 2, which is our queue handling. So this is, to me, this is ingenious. Whenever you configure Encore, you configure a set of queues. These queues can have priorities among each other and within each other. And for each queue that you configure, you get a thread pool within your instance. And these thread pools do the transcoding. So what you have here is a reverse priority block, which means that the first thread slot for any instance will always try to pick things in the first queue and only from the first queue. Whereas the second slot will pick from things from the first queue if there's anything there and jobs from the second queue once it's empty. Then the third slot will only pick from the first queue if there's anything there, and then look in the second queue. If there's nothing there either, then it will move to the third slot. We achieve 3 things with this system. First and foremost, we can assure that all jobs, the jobs that are being made or picked up are always the highest priority ones. Secondly, we can saturate our hardware and see to it that we always use the resources that we have. And this means that we can assure that we publish things in time and that we can refine things using as much quality as possible. Now, the second part in this overview that I would like to focus on is the job processing that is done in the analysis and commands step. And this is really another part that to me is amazing, and that's the command builder. Because when we create our FFmpeg commands, we do that as a combination, an aggregate combination of our encoding profile that contains bit rates and codecs, the special instructions that we add, say for burn-in subtitles, captions, or aspect ratio control. But we also have a tool that analyzes our input file, creates metrics, and helps alter the command depending on the input file. So for instance, if it has to be de-interlaced. Now, this is amazing because if you have an archive of video footage that stretches almost a century back, there are bound to be edge cases that you would normally have to handle manually. But since the command builder is so flexible and adaptable, we solve most of these cases automatically. Another application that is not really part of Encore, but what you can use Encore for and what we use in our pipeline, something we call procedural transcoding. And that means that we can set up queues so that we encode everything that has to be published first. And once we have some time left or some resources left, we can go back and do some extra steps. We can add extra audio, repackage and republish. We can add refined encoding, repackage and republish, which has increased our quality while not sacrificing any of our stability. At SVT Play, we don't use any per title encoding, nor per shutter encoding. We just do genre-based encoding, which works on predefined profiles that we have. But the quality has increased immensely over the years. And it's hard to showcase that in a webinar like this, but suffice to say, we are very happy with the results. However, the biggest news of the day is the fact that Encore is going open source. So as of today, we are open sourcing this solution. We hope it will increase collaboration. We hope it will increase transparency and spur innovation. We're very excited and very happy to be able to share this, and hopefully it will be useful to others. So in conclusion, Encore gave us control and flexibility. Encore improved our quality immensely. Encore allowed for innovation and further development, and Encore is free. Well, apart from the fact that we have to develop it in-house. That was all for me. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Olof. Yeah, I guess you can stop your presentation mode. So we have a question. Well, we got a question here in any chance of open sourcing this, but you already answered that. So
yeah.
So it's already up there. Is it on GitHub or?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I didn't provide a link now, but yes, it's up on GitHub as of today, or okay. Actually, I think as of yesterday.
Okay, that's very good news. And are you already working together with some of the other public broadcasters or anyone else on this, or is it solely SVT as of now?
As of now, we have mentioned it to other public broadcasters earlier, but as of right now, we are the only one working on it. I'm hoping that will change, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm sure it. I'm sure it will. Okay, we have a couple of other questions. Can you share us with the GitHub link? I think we can arrange that. Perhaps we can do that in the Q&A.
Yep.
Are you using servers with GPU or just CPU for the encoding?
Great question. We only use CPU as of today. The encoders to be used are CPU based. And that will change the day we feel that the quality at bitrate that we can create with another solution is better. If someone come up with a GPU encoder that is better, we will change in a heartbeat.
Okay, and then here is a question. I'm not sure if you are able to answer it, but it's regarding the cost and the evaluation of different solutions. So did you cost analyze in relation to transcoding costs with Encore solution compared to other providers like commercial providers? Yeah. And did you figure out like the cost per minute is cheaper or more expensive?
Yeah, so just to start off, I am the wrong person to answer this question, but I will do it anyway. We did do a proper business case for Encore prior, but that was a guesstimate. I mean, we were guessing that we were able to provide this. Nowadays, we know that the solution has saved us a lot of money at an increase of quality, but you know, it was a guess at the time, an educated guess.
Okay, and then one question from me here. So, I mean, we know that measuring quality in encoding is somewhat of a subjective matter, but there are some tools and standards like VMAP or of MOS. And is this something that you're using a part of your platform, or how do you go about measuring the quality part of the video?
Yeah, so yeah, that is truly a great question. We don't have anything as part of Encore right now that measures quality in any way. We use both objective and subjective metrics to see how our quality improves. However, whenever they differ, we focus on the subjective ones. So we use VMAF, PSNR, and SSIM to get us broad trends, but not as part of automation. No, it's all manually done right now.
Okay, good. One more here. Does Encore fix DVB subs pass through DVB clients from SRT source? Wow, it's quite detailed.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, actually. So if I understand it correctly, then the answer is no. No, not right now. It's not that it is possible, but it's a use case that I don't think we've come across. But I will make a more detailed answer once I've read it myself in the Q&A.
Okay, good. And yeah, I think you mentioned it already, but that you're doing like the per genre encoding now. And I think we've seen these solutions on per title and even per scene. Is that something that you consider as part of your roadmap, or are you happy with the per genre encoding schema that you have today?
So we are definitely interested in per title encoding for many of the reasons that are usually stated. However, as of yet, depending on the source files that we get, we haven't come up with a situation where the complexity, the increase in complexity gives us enough quality improvements to warrant it. So we will stick with genre for now, but that doesn't mean that we won't go to per title or per shot in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Olof. I think that was all we had time for. There's still a couple of questions there, so perhaps if you can jump into the Q&A and answer these.
Will do. And thanks a lot for the opportunity to talk, and thanks for reminding me that my presentation slides weren't moving.
No worries. Okay, so that was the end of the show today. But before we are closing completely, I will give the word over to Ajay Anand. That's the CEO and the founder of Northern Waves and the Nordic TV week. So I will give the word to Ajay for the closing remark. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. First of all, welcome all of you to the world's shortest TV conference that there is. Today it's online, and perhaps we're going to make it in person someday. And before we finish, and before I finish, I hope your families and your colleagues and everyone that you know are well at these times, and I look forward to meeting you all sometime. Thank you for Telenor, DR, and SVT. I think it's really, really great that all of you have made time to be a part of this event, not just as presenters, but also as viewers. I see a lot of viewers here. We hope that you've had a lot of learning. And if this was not good enough, we have the same show tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Make sure that you sign up. Thank you, first of all, to Geir Inge and Stein from Telenor, Troels and Olof from DR and SVT. It's quite difficult to get these guys in the Nordics to present their amazing digital thoughts in such a short notice. But then again, we want to invite you all to visit us in the Nordics to make sure how digital services are run here, which is created in the best of environment. I don't know how much you know about the Nordic countries, but having the best of networks, having the best of operators, the content, and of course innovation, putting it all together makes the best of streaming services. And tomorrow we will see TV2 Denmark, we will see Alente. We will also invite someone from outside of the Nordics, ITV, to present at 3 o'clock, the same place, same time. And of course, we have a little surprise for you where we will demo one international streaming OTT service for those of you who want to see what there is out there outside of Europe. See you tomorrow then. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.